ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकधामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणम्। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you for joining it another time. Appreciate it. Actually, the process of Krishna consciousness goes very dynamically. That means our awareness which we have today, if that awareness has to continue next year or the year after that, for that we have to dynamically work on it. For example, if I'm not working on my consciousness, if I'm not working as per the words of Guru Sadhu Shastra, as per the instructions of the spiritual master, the consciousness which is maintained today will not be sustained or maintained next year if it is not been driven as per their words. It's a very practical example. Saubhara or Vishwamitra Muni, they were doing tapasya for 60,000 years and 10,000 years. Even after doing those tapasya for thousands of years, an allurement, an allurement which came into their life, they were affected. That means when we are there in this material world, we cannot take anything lightly. We have to take everything. You should think, you should understand, you should assess. We shouldn't just jump on in doing a particular thing before thinking about it, understanding about it, knowing more about it. One has to go deeper. One has to understand. One has to assess. Just like Jad Bharat, after going through his lifetimes as Bharat Maharaj and the deer, his last life was very, very cautious. He is thinking two, twice, thrice before doing anything because he has seen those situations, because he understands when he was relaxed, when he was trying to see this world not through the vision of Guru Sadhu Shastra, but in a different way. Even though that might be sattvic, that is goodness only, but still that goodness caused him trouble, gave him trouble. Now we'll take another example. Haridas Thakur, when the prostitute came to him, then she requested, "Let us enjoy. There is nobody here. You are young, I am young." Even though the prostitute was being sent, is directly material nature herself. The response what Haridas Thakur Maharaj gave is very, very enlightening, very rejuvenating. What did she told or what did he told? He told, I have a service given by Lord Chaitanya, given by my teacher, my spiritual master, my everything. He told me to finish certain number of rounds. So I have that pending which I have to do as a service to please him. You please wait. You will enjoy after that. But please hold on. Please wait onto your request. Put a pause onto your request. If you want, you can stay here. Otherwise, you can come back later. At that moment, the material nature, the Prakriti, the Maya, she was actually alluring through her gestures, postures in different ways. But Haridas Thakur Maharaj was fixed up in his consciousness. Why? Because he is doing to please the other person. Why was he convinced? Because he knows his way of taking the truth is this. Because he received that instruction. Now he's doing it to please that person. That means whenever we do anything in this world, if that doing is to please the other person, then that has a lot of strength and shakti. Just like that South Indian Brahmana, he had no clue that how to read, how to even see. But what he was doing, he was reading. He didn't know how to read because his teacher, his spiritual master told him to do that. That was the only thing which he knows. And his only idea or attention or focus is to please that person. He doesn't have any other goals actually. That means we should think about this. Pleasing the other person, does it have that much strength? Why pleasing the other person do matters? Why having a relationship with that person do matters? Why should we develop a relationship with our teacher? Why should we develop a relationship with our beloved Acharya? Why should we develop a relationship with our beloved Guru Parampara? Why should we all do this? Do we have to really do this for their happiness? If we really do them for their happiness, do we really get conviction? Do we really progress in Krishna consciousness? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Now, when he met Ishwarapuri, his spiritual master, now his spiritual master told him, you stop doing this Vyakarana. You immediately put this on the halt. You simply stop doing this. And then just chant Hare Krishna. Just do this. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? Did he over understand the instruction of Ishwarapuri? No, he did not. Then what he did? He immediately stopped doing Vyakarana. And then he started chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. As per who? As per the words of his spiritual master. Now, immediately after doing that, very honestly started telling, again, he goes back to Ishwarpuri and starts telling, my dear spiritual master, somehow I'm just chanting this Hare Krishna Maha mantra. I'm getting tears from the eyes. My hair is standing on the end. I don't know what's happening to me. Looks like something is happening to me. Should I continue this or should I just stop this? I don't know. You instruct me. Then Ritasha told, no, this is great what you're doing. Please continue. What is happening here? ददाति प्रतिज्ञाति गुह्यवाक्याति प्रच्यति भुंजते भोजते षड्विध प्रीति लक्षण. What is happening? He is actually sharing his heart through that service which he is doing. Oh, he's not dissatisfied with any of those things. Why was he not dissatisfied? Because the attitude with which he has taken is different. Duryodhana was not in a position to accept the truth, was not in a position to understand or even forget about doing it. He was not in a position to understand that also. But he is also hearing. Was he hearing from Krishna? No, he's not hearing. He's hearing from somebody else. He's hearing from Shakuni. Is Shakuni the source of everything? No. Is Shakuni a beloved spiritual master? No. Is he unauthorized? No. Then why is he hearing from him? Because Shakuni is pleasing Duryodhana through some other way. That is also pleasing. Just like you see, if a person is really aspiring for Krishna consciousness, he will get that through the association. If he stays in that association, then he'll be kept in a different plane. Why this association is so important? Association is very important because through the association only mercy flows. Through the association only give and take happens. Through the association only everything is actually going in the way it's supposed to go. The association is not there, things will not manifest. But Duryodhana is also taking association. But his association is different. He's taking association from Shakuni. Now, is that helping Duryodhana? It is helping Duryodhana. Is that spiritual? No, it's not spiritual, but it is helping him on a material plane. Does he understand that this has to be done? He doesn't understand. That means personalities like these personalities, they do not understand what is the real intricate goal of the life. One day Tapan Mishra had a dream. In the dream, he's been told that you go to this person, all your desires will be fulfilled. The moment he meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says he was being told that you just practice the science of Krishna consciousness. You are very sincere. You practice the science of Krishna consciousness, you realize everything. That means when they hear something, what they do is they invoke those things in their consciousness. See, if you actually see all these personalities, they received these things in a go, like in an association. And that association is not like, that's a momentary association. Through that association, what is happening is they were able to connect or grasp what they're supposed to grasp. And then after grasping, what they do is they would apply those things in their life. And that they would genuinely see those results. That means if a sadhaka doesn't apply those things, what happens is he couldn't see the results. That means the person has to be kept in a different plane to actually experience that. Now, keeping in a different plane, what that means is that keeping in a different plane is also being done by them only. We cannot do it. But what we can do is what they have told us, if we simply repeat what they told us, if we simply apply. For example, if you want to accelerate your car, you have to increase, you have to put the pedal. on the accelerator, and then it increases. If you know how to manage the steering and everything, that's it. There ends the matter. Your car is great. You're driving great. You're moving forward is great. Everything is great. But if you don't know how to apply the pedal nicely, this is where the training is required. How to apply the pedal and how to balance. Instead of accelerator, if you're hitting on a brake, that's okay because you'll not move forward. But at the moment when you are supposed to hit the brake, you are hitting the accelerator, what happens? That's where the problem comes. That means that's a clear indication that the problems do come in this way. That means what we are supposed to do at a particular moment, we are not doing that. Rather than that, we are doing something else. When we do different things at the times which we are not supposed to do, we are not supposed to do that, but we are doing that. What is happening? Problem comes. But whatever we are supposed to do at that point of time, if we are actually doing that, then we see the results. For sure, we'll see the results. There's not because every person followed this. Every person is gaining that in their life. For example, 1 year back, you're practicing very nicely. Let's say if you're not practicing that today, what is the problem? Because your your dealings in this world became different. Your association in this world became different. Your way of seeing things in this world became different. Your vision, your perception, everything became different. That means what we were doing that 1 year back, if we are not implementing now, then what happens is we will be kept in a different state. Because where are we? We are not in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, continuous association is there. Through that continuous association, we will remain in that continuous consciousness. Continuously, we'll be serving them. Continuously, we'll be aspiring them. Continuously, we'll be doing everything for their happiness. Because that's a continuous process. It happens. But to establish that state, here that continuity has to continue. And that continuity comes through conviction, which was been asked yesterday. So Bol Prabhu was asking, it's for everyone actually. How can we develop that conviction in our heart? Because if that conviction is not developed in our heart, how can we do a service? For example, Arjuna had a problem. When he had a problem, that problem kept him in a different plane. Does it mean that problem kept him in a different plane? The Lord personally maneuved. He kept Arjuna in a different plane. So that Arjuna's reaction for that particular situation. Hare Krishna, 1 second here. I think somebody came on the top. 1 second, just give me 1 second. So that conviction which we are supposed to develop is very vital for anyone's progress in anything actually. If a player is not convinced in what he is doing, then he cannot continue his practice. Or if a person who is studying for an exam, he doesn't understand the importance or the gravity of that, he cannot do that. So this conviction is there at every step. One should really be convinced in all of his detail, in his dealings. If he is not convinced, he cannot move forward. So our conviction depends on what means our conviction depends on our attitude. The progress in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. If the attitude of the follower is rightly placed, then he will move forward. For sure, there is no obstacle, or no one can stop if he has right attitude. That means even the material nature will give him an opportunity to move forward. That means the material nature's difficulties, he's already crossed that. That means even if she's giving difficulties in the future, still he'll cross that. Because what is he doing? He's doing everything through the process of depending completely on the mercy of the Lord. And Krishna is very pleased through that attitude. That means any situation which he has been kept, he's ready to jump on and take on to it and then move forward. So this understanding is the greatest understanding, because what is happening through that is, dear devotees, I'll tell you another important aspect. If you are doing for the pleasure of the acharyas, for the pleasure of spiritual master, then what is happening is, first thing we are putting aside is our false ego. First thing we are putting aside. Because we are not doing what our mind or what our intelligence or what our this that is telling. We are doing it based on their words. When we do based on their words, what happens is we go into their consciousness, into their doing of things. There's a beautiful thing. One day, a child wants to go to his grandfather's home. Now, the child, he said, Mother, he tells his parents that I want to go to grandma's home. For that, he has to go through train. He has to take the train in the night. By morning, he'll be there. He said, yes, your exams are done. You can go. I'll take you. Father was telling. Then the child was telling. He's young. He said, no, father, I want to try by myself. Now, the father on one side is telling, no, I'll take you. Don't worry. You just follow. You'll be happy. Now, the child was telling, no, no, no. I will do it by myself. And then the mother said, okay, you do it by yourself. I'm going to give you a box. If you ever felt that you're in a fearful state, open that box and then read what I've written in that box. If you are not fearful, you don't have to open that. You can just take that box to your grandma's home. The child is in the train. This is the first time, first experience. He's, he's seeing all strangers. This is the first time he's seeing strangers. He has seen strangers before, but the strangers were not strangers before to him. Because at that time he was with his parents. Because, for example, when you are there with your parents, that means staying with the parents is like staying with the internal energy. When you're there with the parents, what happens is, even if you get any difficulty, the parents are there to protect you. That means in the internal energy, you get an advantage. What is that advantage is, you are not doing it. They are doing it for you. That means that situation will come, the scenario will come into your life, but the solution they will take care of it. This is the beauty of the process of Krishna consciousness. Now the child has seen the strangers before, but the strangers were not impacting him before. That he didn't realize that. That is the whole reason he said, I want to go alone. Before, he was not fearful because his parents were there next to him. But now he's feeling fearful because he's alone. He's doing it by himself. That means the association which he had before, he didn't understand the importance of that association. Now, how is he understanding the importance when he's not taking the association of that association which he was taking before. Through that before association, he was able to do that, but now he is not in that association. That's why he's feeling fearful. Please understand. That means this we all have experienced. When we had or have good association, and when we are following their words, when we are leading our life based on their instructions to please them, then naturally person will be happy in Krishna consciousness. But what happens is when he is not following those words, that is where the problem comes. Now, earlier when he was actually following, he was thinking that happiness is coming through some other means, but he is not actually finding the root of that happiness. If he was finding the root of that happiness, he wouldn't have missed that association later. Please understand, it's very important. When we are missing the root of the association, what is happening is not understanding that root is giving me happiness, but something else. That means I'm giving through me that happiness is coming. When that thought process is coming, that means the falsity, what happens is the falsity will actually cover up the mercy through which we have perceived. Just like that South India Brahmana, if you would have thought that the happiness which he is getting or the association which he got of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was telling that you are the authority of this Gita, he never felt that this is all coming independently. He was always remembering the spiritual master in that. Through that, what is happening is the connection is still intact. When the connection is still intact, the mercy flows. How the mercy will stop when the connection is not intact? That is where the mercy is stopped. Please understand. Connection, when the connection is stopped, that is where the mercy, the flow is stopped. Exactly the child is feeling that now. What is the child feeling now? The child is feeling fearful, is feeling fear. He has fear in his heart now. That he was not saying it before. He traveled before also in train, but previously he was traveling with his parents. Now the exact thing he is remembering that. When his parents were there, he also he's seen strangers at that time. Those strangers were not strangers anymore at the time, but now the strangers are strangers. And then through that strangers, he's in a fearful state. Through that fear, immediately he opens the box. And then he sees that your father is in next compartment, you can go and meet him. That's it. And the moment he met his father, his fear was gone. This is exactly in our life, actually. The moment we are in that association, Guru Sadhu Shastra, their shelter, their Vani, their words, their love, their affection, if we are in that state, what happens is this fear will not touch us. And then not just this, when we begin doing it for them, what happens is the conviction which you carry in your heart is intensified. Please understand. The conviction which you carry in the heart will be intensified, and then the intensity which you see in your heart. Always remember, spiritual master asks this question: how is your heart? How is your heart do? How is your heart react? The moment he asks that question, we cannot speak anything else other than what is there in the heart. Because in front of those personalities, the heart will not allow us to speak something which is not there in the heart. That means what is happening? You speak from the heart only, genuinely. But it is whatever is there in the heart, it will come. Because if you are feeling there are some inebrities, there are some issues and concern, you vent those things. Because they know, they understand. If something is not coming from that particular person, they understand there is some problem. For example, continuously you've been serving. Let's say you're in a good association and then you're continuously serving the spiritual master as per their words. All of a sudden that thing is not coming. One day feel that something happened in the heart. Definitely they'll feel that something happened in the heart. Definitely they'll feel that there is some problem. That's why they ask that question, what is the state of the heart? Because what is this Shravana? This Shravana is actually a process to actually check our heart. It's a process to connect. Through the heart only we connect. The modern scientists, they say that all the energy is coming through the heart. But they don't know that the energy of the source, because in the heart that is where the soul is sitting. That is where the super soul is sitting next to him. Through that soul only all the energy is coming. If that soul is not there in the heart, then there is no existence to this body. Not knowing that this body is being used for the so-called happiness of this world, because that so-called happiness of this world is actually coming through the soul which is actually sitting in the heart. If the soul is not sitting in the heart, there is no question of happiness in this world. But to the very sad part, no one actually would perceive that there is a soul in the heart. Through that soul only, through the presence of the soul only, I am using this body, independent of the Lord. That's why when the soul would leave this body, the soul is actually shattered, because the soul's only happiness is perceiving it through this body, and then through these bodily relationships like husband, children, wife, parents. That means his life is only this. If he has good relations, if he doesn't have good relations, he will not even think about them. It's so sad actually. And we actually think about this further. The so-called technological advancement in this world. What is the technological advancement in this world doing? It is actually eliminating what? Eliminating the real relations. At least in the previous 100 years back or 200 years back, at least they had good relationship with their wife, children, family, this, that, their friends. But now the advancement of this technology, everyone is becoming very busy. Through that busy, what is happening is so much absorbed in that, they cannot even see, cannot even think about the other person. Forget about having a relationship with them. Cannot even think about the other person. Because they're so absorbed that their absorption is always, how can I get happiness? If this soul is not a present in this body, then can they think? They can. Can they do anything? They can. If the soul is not there, can they eat anything? They can. The Lord gave the soul, and then the acharyas are telling that the soul has to be seen like this. Jivara Sarupa Krishna Nityadas. If we are not seeing like that, then how can I perceive? How can I go to their consciousness, or how can I go into their realm? How can I go into their energy? No, it's not possible, into their state. That is possible only when we are feeling them. When we are actually perceiving that I belong to them. They are really my master. They are really my well-wisher. Because if you actually see Srila Prabhupada and his followers, they don't have any blood relationships with us. But still they are they're very selfless. They love us, they appreciate us, they accept us, they embrace us, but do not have any direct relationship with us. But we can see that only through that relation which they are extending, which they are offering, that is only our survival. That is only which is actually surviving us in this world. Because that relation is only on a selfish plan. Rest everything is on a selfish plan. The wife or the husband, if they're expecting something, means what is that? What is that expectation? They will be expecting from the other person something or the other. That means if a person is expecting something from the other person, is that not a selfish act? It is. But if both persons they're on the selfless plan, then what do they do? Do they use the other person for extracting happiness, or do they use the other person for service? They use the other person for service. Now that service, that extraction is a real thing actually. That real thing is called as bhakti. And that bhakti will give us the conviction. Just like the child, he was in a fearful state. Likewise, we will be in a fearful state. Just like Arjuna was in a fearful state. But it's a very difficult state to kill one's own family members. If you think about this, it's a very, very precarious condition. It's very difficult. No one can do that. That's why that fear is good, because that fear is actually helping him to take that association. For example, if through our dealings in this world, we have been kept in a difficult state, we've been kept in difficulties, that moment only you'll think about this truth. For example, if Arjuna was not been kept in that difficulty, will he be able to think about the truth? He will never be able to think about the truth. He will never think like that. He will never think in that unlimited ways. Because he's been kept in that state. He's been kept, a lot of personally kept him in that difficult state. Krishna knows what to be shown to Arjuna at that particular moment. Because Krishna, he did not show Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is not there in the battlefield. Dhritarashtra is there in Hastinapur. He's not showing Duryodhana or Karna or somebody else. He showed Bhishma there. He showed Bhishma there. He showed Dronacharya. That means wherever the problem is, he showed that only. Doesn't Krishna know that that is where the problem is? He knows that the problem of Arjuna is that. That means showing Arjuna that problem, he is changing his state of consciousness. Because when a difficult state comes, that is there, our real thing will come, will be extracted. It's like, remember when Dhritarashtra is telling, what is your heart? That is where the real thing is coming. That is where the real thing is coming. Please understand, that question is very important. What is your heart? What is your And only a person who has love, who has affection to us, he will ask us the question. That means these things we can only discuss through that association. We cannot discuss anywhere else. And that association is only giving us satisfaction in this world, dear devotees. None of these things, none of the other things are giving us satisfaction. Because nobody knows where the problem is. Who knows where the problem is? They have no idea. Does wife know where the problem is? Does the husband know where the problem is? They have no idea. All they know is, are you bringing vegetables? Are you bringing money? Are you doing this? Or are you doing something else? Are you maintaining your job? Are you maintaining your schedule? That's all they know. That means whatever the external thing is there, that is what they will see. But can they see what is going on in your heart? Can they see where the problem is there in your heart? They cannot see. Because that thing is not being given to them. Because where are they dealing? Where are they dealing? Everyone in this world, where are they dealing? They are dealing in the selfish plane. In the selfish one, they will not be given access to the selfless state. Through the access to the selfless state that is the internal energy. That thing cannot be pursued. Today I was discussing to my God brothers that this truth has to be given. This truth has to be extended. Everyone should take this truth. If everyone is taking this truth, the spiritual master will be happy. We should do his service very nicely. Whatever little way we are getting an opportunity, we should try to please our spiritual master. Because if he is pleased, Govinda is pleased. Srila Prabhupada is pleased. Because if this motive is there, Because they are the one who are actually telling us the real thing. Ajamila, why was Ajamila taking the association of this prostitute? Because he had no association. No, nobody was telling him. His father was there, his mother was there. He kicked off his father and mother from the home to please the prostitute. He was a Brahmana. He heard everything from his father, but there's no relation, there's no connection. The relation of the prostitute dominated him. So that relation of the prostitute, what happened? He kicked them. And then what was he doing? He took the association of her. Whatever she suggested, he was doing. Based on the suggestion, he was doing robbery, he was eating meat, he was doing so many things, he was doing all nonsense. He's a Brahmana, he quit all of those things. Simply he saw her with another person just by seeing through that vision, naked. He had seen her naked. He felt I had to marry her. That means what is happening? Dhyayat vishapunsa sangasya bhajayate. That means whatever we see, if we get asakti to that, we take that association. Please understand. How do we take asakti? How do we take the association of this material nature or this material world? Because that material nature will give us asakti through that interest. When she is giving interest, through that interest, when we are getting some happiness, that is a source of our association. See, in this material world, everything is gross. Everything is actually pursued on a gross plane. That means I should see. If I see, then then it is manifesting. It cannot be pursued on a material on an intellectual plane. It cannot be pursued on the level which our acharyas are given. Now, through that association, what is happening? He took that association, he forgot everything. That means whatever happiness which was giving through the conviction which he carried before, that is no longer there with him. Because he is not continuing that association. Because rather than he stopped taking that association and he begin taking the association of this prostitute. That is giving him happiness. That's why he could continue. This material nature, she allures us. Through that allurement, what she gives is, she gives happiness through that association. That's how we continue. That means the conviction on the material plane is increased. The conviction on the spiritual plane is lost. When the conviction in the spiritual plane is lost, means the conviction with our relation, the connection with the Acharya Guru Parampara is stopped. When that connection is stopped, what is happening? The state of consciousness is changed. That's how he could have 10 children with that prostitute. And then later on, by the mercy of a sadhu, see, this is how the association comes. Otherwise, we are lost in this world. Through the mercy of this sadhu, what is happening is, he said, you name your last child is Narayana. And just that naming gave him greatest solace. Because the sadhu observed him. This person is not in a position to understand or hear Krishna Katha, or hear or take Krishna consciousness. But his attachment is on this child. If this child is, we should give through him, somehow he should revive, he should reinstate his natural consciousness. He was thinking like this, the sadhu was thinking, because he understands this person is not in a position to give up everything or take sannyas at this particular moment because he's so attached to his wife. That is he cannot do that. At least if he's so attached to his child, that means he will call his child continuously. Then he named the child as Narayan. Oh, he was continuously calling, Narayana, come here, Narayana, go there, Narayana, come here, Narayana, go there. And then eventually he had to leave the world. He became very old. He completely stopped everything. And he would see, he's fearful now. Why? Because he's in a different plane. Please understand, imminent death came. In which state he is in a fearful state. Through that fearful state, what he calls whatever is dear to him. He called Narayana. Narayana, Narayana. Yamdutas came, Vishnu Dutas also came because he called Narayana. And then that Vishnu Dutas, they didn't allow Yamadutas to take his soul or his subtle body. Soul and the subtle body, both together. He didn't allow them to take. He said, you stop. This is not your business. You stop. And that's how he was protected. He was saved. He was saved by that sadhu's association, that momentary association. Lavamatra sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sarvasiddhu. Lavamatra sadhu sanga, sarvashashti. So that momentary association of the sadhu, he called the names of Narayana. He called his son only. Just think about this. If that sadhu was not there in his life, what would have been his fate? He would have gone to Yamlok. Please understand. That means those personalities, they come into our life, they protect us. We don't understand that. But the protection of the Lord is coming through that sadhu. That means Lord only came through the sadhu. That's his mercy. That means Lord is all pervading, all pervasive. That means he doesn't have to indirectly come holding flute, threefold bending form, doesn't have to come in that. He comes in our life through spiritual master. And through that association, our consciousness is changed. And through that association, our conviction is increased. When we feel, or when we give importance to them, and we have deep respect to them in our heart, our conviction is not automatically changed. This is how I am convinced in my heart. Because one can only share one's conviction. One can only share one's conviction. Because one cannot fool the other person or bluff them. One cannot be dishonest or speak so many other things. Or stating that, oh, I've seen Radharani, or I've seen Krishna, or I've seen Srila Prabhupada tapping on my shoulder and then telling Nilakanta, you practice Krishna consciousness. That's how I got conviction. No, cannot tell like that. Actually, Prabhupada, if you see in his life, he gave his entire life for this mission. He never told like this, actually. See his life. He never said, Krishna tapped on my shoulder. He told you, wake up, you do this. No. That doesn't mean that that doesn't happen. It might happen, but they don't open up in that way. Now, how do they open up? Through the channel, right channel. Because if he is coming like that, how is he coming? Through the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur only Krishna comes. For Srila Prabhupada, through the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur only he will see him. For Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, through the mercy of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj only he will see. For Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, by the mercy of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj only he will see. For Haridas Thakur Maharaj, the mercy of, through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only he will see. When Advaitacharya was profusely crying out left and right in his life, continuously crying out, because he was calling the Supreme Lord. He didn't call Mahaprabhu come. He was calling, my dear Lord, please come. Only you can transform these personalities. This world is gone to dogs. Please come and help. This is a precarious condition. Even more precarious than the condition in which all the Devi Devatas prayed along with Brahmaji at the Sweta Dweep. That this is more precarious than that condition. You come. This is more difficult. 5,000 years ago, things were not like this. Now it is so degraded. Everyone wants to use the other person. Everyone wants to cheat the other person. Everyone wants to jump on to the other person like a vulture, jumping on a bird to kill. People are becoming like that. You come, through your mercy only everything can be manifested. He was profusely crying. That's why Lord Chaitanya came. Otherwise, why would he come? Somebody has to call him. Please understand. That means if there is a calling, is that that's when this thing will manifest. Otherwise, why will this manifest? It will not manifest. Advaitisara had to call. Oh, who's Advaitisara? Mahavishnu and Lord Shiva personified. When he called, that is when Lord Chaitanya came. That means it depends on our calling. It depends on our dependency. It depends on our crying out. It depends on our profusely we should depend. Profusely we should depend on their mercy. Why are we chanting of Hare? While chanting of Hare Krishna, what we should do? We should depend like this. If the body is not straight, we should make this body straight. For this purpose, to gain that energy. Why should we sleep? For this purpose. To gain the energy and then intensify our Krishna consciousness. No, that is a whole purpose. That is the whole point of association. Now that's how when Ajamil was being given another chance by the Vishnu Dutas, did he again went back to the prostitute? I got another opportunity. Let us enjoy. I got another life. Did he went to the prostitute again? No. He realized. If he would have went to the prostitute again, yeah, this time, yeah, Vishnu Dutas will not come, even if he chanted Narayana. Because the chance is gone. That means even if he used, that means on the strength of chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, committing sinful activities, no one can help. Because Ajamina did not call to come out of that state. Please understand this, dear. He called his son, utterly depending. That means that Nama which he spoke at the time of death, there's no external motive behind that. There's no material motive behind it. That's the Vishnu Dutta's came. But after giving that chance, Ajamila went back to that prostitute again. Did he went? No. Complete transformation. Now what has happened to him? Before that and after that, conviction came into his. Now, how is the conviction coming into our heart? Through Shravana. Through this means. When we hear sincerely what happens, conviction will come into our heart. Through that conviction, what we will do, we will never commit any sinful activities. That is a protection. That is a shelter for us. In that shelter and protection, where is the biggest problem is when the Shravana is not done properly, that is where the problem is. The Shravana is not done correctly. That is where all the sources of all the problems is when we don't do Shravana properly. Because when Shravana Shakti is not there, then the Kirtana Shakti will not come. The more conviction has to be established means we should actually see through this example. You see that child. The child was in a fearful state. The moment the child has seen the paper, there itself the fear gone. The moment Arjuna submitted to Krishna, there itself his grief got vanished, destroyed. The moment Lord intensified and then began speaking, just within that half hour, 1 hour, everything is dissipated. No more looking back. But in our life, that might not happen. There might be ups and downs. That's okay. But through that ups and downs, are we taking right association? That is what is matters. That what matters. If we are taking right association through those ups and downs, then the progress will be steady. That we need to understand. That's how actually the conviction is actually established. Because through difficulties, only conviction is intensified. During the difficulties, Arjuna had a difficulty. Ajamila had a difficulty. Ajamila cried out because he has seen Yamadutas. Intensely cried out, Narayana, Narayana. Narayana, he's taking shelter. He doesn't know, he had no idea, but he just called his son. Please, indirectly is taking association. Please understand, indirectly, if a person takes association, there is a solution. What to speak if you are taking direct association like Arjuna? Ajamila took indirect association by calling out the names, but Arjuna took direct association by Karpanya dosha pahata swabhava. So that is a epitome in one's life. And whoever comes to that plane, their progress in Krishna consciousness will be steady. Please understand, because we want steady progress. We don't want this Krishna consciousness just to be introduced and then left. We don't want that. Please understand. I see, I see this process being seen in two ways. What is that first way? Most of them will stay in that first way. If they come to Krishna consciousness in the beginning stage, they discuss. Discuss about what? How to do certain things. No, how do I offer boga? For this, they have this question. Oh, this is how you offer the boga. This is how you depend on the Guru Parampara. You submit to Srila Prabhupada. Then eventually it goes to Radha Vrindavan Chandra. Then they will honor. And then again it comes back to Srila Prabhupada. And through that we get it. That means initially when a person newly comes, he will ask this. Once he knows, he'll not ask. That means for merely understanding some actions or activities, that itself is not Krishna consciousness. You're doing that. But why are we doing this? What is our shelter? What should we do? How should we do? That is a real thing. That thing has to be pursued. Please understand that is the only thing which should give satisfaction to them. That means the next step, what is that first thing? In the initial stage, they have questions, but after that, they do not have any questions. Why after that, they do not have any question? Because they do not have that kind of association. That's why if you actually see, everyone wants to bring new people. Because for new people, they can tell something. But to the existing people, they cannot tell. Because they already know how to do this, how to do that. That means they're training in some actions and activities, how to chant, how to sit, how to get up, what is the importance of Brahma Muhurta. These things can be told. But to maintain that, to sustain that, to continue that, that is next category of association. Or we should choose what category of association we want. Because if you actually see, if you actually think about this, the more one submits, the more one surrenders to the process, the more he continues in it. If the person doesn't submit, doesn't surrender, he cannot continue with this. He cannot continue this process. That means what is happening? If you are merely staying through the activities, we cannot experience. We cannot gain the conviction. Let's say the child, when he has opened that box, if there is nothing, do you see the fear being dissipated from his heart? No. The fear wouldn't have been dissipated from his heart. He would have been more fearful because his mother told him. Now he is even losing the faith on his mother. Because mother told him that if you open up this box, then you'll get a solution. But he opened up the box. There is nothing in that. If there's nothing in that, what is happening? His faith on his mother, he is losing that also. That is the only faith for him in this. So she's the only person who can help him at that particular moment. Likewise, if our faith is reduced through the association, then what is happening? That association is not correct for us. The faith has to be intensified. We should be inspired through any association. And we get that one association. Through that association, we will understand the heart of Acharyas, everyone. If that association, we stick on to that association and then we give clarity, we gain clarity through that, then what is happening is Our way of seeing the things is totally different. It will change our consciousness because we have to be kept from one state to the other state. This has to happen. If the states are not differed, then there is a problem. Very important. Even after seeing those personalities, if Ajamunda's heart was not changed, was he having was did he gain anything through that? No. After coming of those Vishnudutas also, his heart was not changed. No, who is at a fault? Is that a fault of a Vishnudutas? No, it's a fault at a Jamil. He's not taking it. He's not understanding. That's why I always see like this. It is our fault. I see like this. It is our fault if you are not taking the science, if science of Krishna consciousness next, it is my fault, not the fault of those personalities. Because those personalities are doing it naturally. They're experiencing that. They're gaining that. They're relishing the process. If they're not experiencing, if they're not gaining, if they're not relishing, then how are they giving it? How are they giving the so-called material happiness of this world? It's like a joke. It's not a joke they're doing. They're actually experiencing. Because we also experience in the way we take how they are telling us. Just like the child immediately opened up that box, there is a chit. He opened up the chit and then he said, your father is in the next compartment, and they immediately ran to the because he has that faith and the words of the mother. It is a relationship. Because if you have faith on the words of our acharyas and just to follow them as is, why conviction will not come? Conviction will run to us, she'll come. Conviction will run. That we should do. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. Anyone would like to add anything? Would like to share? Because the more we understand this,
Hare Krishna,
the more.
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yes.
Balsani.
Yeah, Prabhuji, when I'm hearing today's class, there is something which got into my mind when I read Bhagavad Gita at one part of Bhagavad Gita. So there it mentioned like the people will transform from one guna to the other guna, like rajogunam to sattvagunam, sattvagunam to some people transform to rajogunam, like Lord Purushottama, like Parsuram Prabhuji. He is actually a Sattva came from the Brahmin family. Later, he changed it to the Rajoguna. Means that uh, in this kind and as you said, most of the people who comes to the Krishna consciousness, they might be earlier at the Rajoguna stage or Tamas Guna stage. Later, they can move to the Sattva by practicing the Krishna consciousness properly. So uh, like whenever we changing, is it really changing of only the consciousness is enough, or changing the food habits, like food habits and all, like let us say Parshuram Prabhuji, when he changed from Satguna to the Rajaguna, has he changed his food qualities also to act like a Kshatriya, how it happen?
Actually, everything is in the consciousness. To change one's consciousness from one state to the other, it depends on with what consciousness we are eating. Even if you are eating Krishna Prasad, if our consciousness is not right, then it will not help us. It will help us little, but it will not help us on a deeper level. We have to be really conscious on what we are doing. When we are eating, when we are honoring Krishna Prasad, we're actually also taking association of the Lord. Because Lord so mercifully He gave us that prasad. Through His association, we are actually moving because we are staying with Him. We are honoring Krishna Prasad means is taking His association. We're remembering Him. We think about it. We meditate about Him. We express our gratitude. We express our gratitude to our spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada. Because it's through their mercy only we are honoring this prasad. That means everything we are remembering through that process. We even be grateful to the person who has cooked. because they cooked with a lot of devotion. We remember them also. We express our own appreciation to them. We remember to the person who gave. So everything counts. That means we will not miss anyone. This attitude, through this attitude, we are actually taking their association. The moment we remember them with an open, selfless heart, what is happening is at that moment we are actually taking that association. That means the consciousness with which we are actually doing it, that is what is matters. It's not like Krishna consciousness is a moment where we don't eat onion and garlic. Oh, onion, garlic, we keep it aside. No. It's more important is the consciousness with which we are doing it. If you're doing it with good consciousness, what happens is that is where most of the progress stays. Actually, progress is in that only. Because when we do with the consciousness, what happens is we remember that. That means we don't forget. This actually changes drastically from Rajo to to Sattva and Sattva to Shuddha Sattva. This is how we slowly change. Because what is the reason of fear? What is the reason of fear? So tamo. Fear is what? The state
Yeah.
of tamo. We didn't discuss about gunas, but what is fear? It's tamo. That means if a person is convinced that he's not this body but a powerful spirit, so does anything happens to him? Doesn't happen anything to him. But still he's low. What is that state? That means that consciousness is not in a right state. Lord Parashurama is an empowered personality. It's an expansion of the Lord. Oh, he did that for an higher reason. That means to kill that he should go into that state. What is the state of a Kshatriya? He has to be in that state. Arjuna has to be in that state. That's a transcendental state. Even Brahmaji, he's a representative of passion. What of passion? That means he has to be in that state to create. Lord Shiva is a representation of Tamo. He has to be there in that state to destroy everything. Lord Vishnu is a representation of goodness. He has to be in that state to maintain. That means to maintain anything, it has to be in goodness. That means if Krishna consciousness has to be continued, one has to be in goodness. Goodness means sattvic. That sattvic comes through our actions. That actions are driven through consciousness. If these things are there, then only we can really understand. Then we give importance to that honoring Krishna Prasad. That's how we honor Krishna Prasad. It's not a rule. Please understand. It's not a rule. We do it out of love because it's a relation, it's a connection. It's not a burden to offer. Oh, it's a burden. Every day I have to offer because you're following it as a rule. If you follow it as a rule, what happens? You feel it as a burden. अरे क्या है रोज करना है क्या? Every day I should do this. And when you're frustrated, you're tensed up. It's not like that. अरे it's a great opportunity for me. Say if the cook devotee is actually having this consciousness, he'll do great. Actually, not just he's benefiting the community also. Because the community will eat what he's cooking. Please understand. But there's a deep science behind this. Everyone has to understand. One time a devotee asked me, are you really convinced that Krishna is coming and eating? It's a great question which he asked many years back. Are you really convinced that Krishna is eating? But if I'm not convinced, then it's not helping me if I'm eating it. Please understand that's why the Shravana has to go in very deeply to really understand anything in this world. Otherwise, because this consciousness only is help. Because, for example, at the time of death, you immediately see Prasad. All your life you practiced. how to see prasad. Right? The fact and the life you're seeing that prasad, and somebody is pouring 3 drops of tulsi leaf, Maha of the Lord, into your mouth. You're about to leave. At that moment, if you don't know the importance of the prasad, or the glories of the prasad, what do you see? You see Yamadutas. But if you remember the glories of the prasad, you see the Lord face to face. Because the fear is coming, because death is there. That means, is this consciousness not helping us? It's helping. That's why giving importance to consciousness is more, most important. That's why I don't tell the details. Oh, you do this, you do that, or or you should give this up, you should give this onion garlic. No, we focus on the consciousness. If consciousness is there, everything, you will leave. You yourself will live. You'll get distaste. That means the taste in Krishna consciousness should be so deep, the distaste in the material world should come naturally. And that taste in Krishna consciousness to be deep means that has to be continuous. It's not like, oh, I've now I understood. Let me do this. No, it will not work like that. If you're not in the association, you cannot help. If you actually see Srila Prabhupada was been asked, oh Swamiji, are you alone? No, 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 I'm always my spiritual master. That means what is that answer? That means he's continuously taking his association. Please understand. Oh, it's like, oh, Acharya means they will not take association. Who said? They will continuously, they'll take more association. Please understand this. It's an eye opener for us. That's how we take it. Is that okay now, Shanik?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Just I'm trying to develop that providing Krishna consciousness prasad to the Lord, offering prasad to the. I need to develop more in this process. I'm at the last steps, like beginning stages.
Hare Krishna. All the best.
Right.
Anyone else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to share a beautiful class. Just the thought that I would like to share really quick. The material education that we receive or from the birth, that we get to know, okay, now birth, grow up, then get a degree, job, and then that we see our elders and so forth doing the same, or if that no one is in the family, we do it for the pleasure of the parents, because the parents ask, right, there was no one in your family, now you have to become one for us, for generations to come, inspiration and so forth. So that even in sattva, that is so deeply rooted, we tend to follow the same. We don't even know that this is material, because no knowledge about truth, the real truth, what shastra is, what guru is, nothing about it. So we just tend to follow, okay, 3 times a day, wake up at this time, this much of a sleep and so forth, so deeply rooted. um, so um, in short, what you mentioned today, that satyam has to be heard, and that too it has to be heard, from a person who's actually practicing 100%, as you said in the class, right? Otherwise, that confusion, how can a person who's fully completely involved in that uh, process from start to end, knowing the material knowledge in sattva only, but then completely material, the karmi kind of a attitude, how can he come to the shuddha sattva? That it's a process, it's a training, which has to be continuously. continuously heard, and we discussed many times, but it's very strong that we hear as it is, rather than how I am. We can try on how to apply in my life, right, Prabhu? But we shouldn't be interpreting it like, okay, I cannot do this. Let me, um, whatever I'm hearing, I cannot apply 100%. I'll try, but I cannot apply 100%. So let me twist and tweak it to make it flexible for me.
Now that thing should not be done.
That shouldn't be.
We should aspire for doing it 100%. Because if a person really wants to please the Acharya, if we really want to please Srila Prabhupada, if we really want to please his followers, we should do it as is. Because if we are doing for ourselves, we can do it in so many ways, distorted ways. That is what this entire material world is doing. If they didn't like that, then they will catch the other person. If they didn't like wife, they will quit the wife and then they'll get another wife. Because she's not giving me happiness anymore. He'll change because what is he dealing? He's changing in this world based on his happiness, based on his dealings in this world. Or she's not giving me happiness, I'll get divorced, I'll get another person. Or let me have another extramarital relation, to gain that happiness. This is what is happening in this world. This is quite common now. And then nobody is objecting that also. Having an extramarital affair. Even in India, they're not objecting. It's okay. You can have extramarital affair. You will see rules also coming. Don't worry. In few years, you'll see rules. That's okay. That Supreme Court will also sanction. If you want happiness, you can get through another means also. They'll sanction that also. So things are changing very drastically. That means because if entire world is perceiving happiness in his own way, then he'll agree to that. What is the problem with that? Just like they agreed divorce. Because if you see 100 years back, there's no conception like divorce. There's no conception. They were happy. If they had problems, they used to manage those problems and then move forward. There's no question of divorce actually. But now later on divorce came because external the the Rajoguna, Tamoguna is dominant, more and more dominating. Through that, what is happening? These things manifest. Material nature is very strong. You'll see, that's okay. That's why you see, before marriage also you can have relationships. There's no, there's no stop to that. In America, it is quite common. I remember a devotee was oh, it's a difficult state. Even the next generation, the children who are actually born in America, they are having extramarital relationship before marriage, even though they're connected to the process of Krishna consciousness. They don't see that as a harm. They don't see that as a fault. Because everyone is doing. Why not me? Because that's where I am. Everyone is doing that. Why don't I? That's not a problem. Because they are earning also. No, the parents cannot also, they cannot tell anything. They cannot go against it. They cannot stop the child doing it. The child openly tells, I have a relationship with her. If I like her, I'll marry. That means if you don't like her, you don't marry. That means what are you doing? You're doing karmic reactions before marriage. It's not authorized. Actually, even marriage also. That's why if you actually see this Krishna consciousness, taking this fully to the heart is not easy. It's difficult. Please understand. Unless and until a person has strong relationship, if a person is doing for that's why that's why since beginning I've been telling you should do it for the pleasure of the acharyas. You should do it for their happiness. If you're not doing for them, we are gone actually in this world. Because the moment we begin doing for ourselves, we will, as you said, we will dilute. We'll dilute everything. That's what a lot of people will say. Even after getting initiated, they say, that's okay. इधर उधर बाहर का है तो क्या problem है? That's okay. It's okay. There's no problem. If I see here and there some movies, that's okay. No problem. If I do this, if I do that, that's okay. They're chanting, na? That's okay. That means what are they saying? This chanting will help me actually. That means what are we using? This chanting, we are using this chanting to actually do unwanted things in this world. That's why we will not realize. That's through them, through that connection will not increase. Connection will decrease. That's why my request, please never take that kind of association. Be strong. Always be sincere. Try to follow. You don't have to tell that, oh, I'm sincere and this, that. No, we should be simple. You shouldn't speak anything actually. Just be quiet and then move forward. If anyone is sincere, we should tell, come here, do shower, develop asakti. My asakta manapartha. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you develop asakti on me. Everything will come. Krishna is telling that. Develop asakti, develop asakti. That's how we get conviction in the process. Association is fire. It's fire. It will actually change our consciousness when we give importance to that. I was thinking in the heart and heart. For example, if a person is very senior Vaishnava is speaking, if I'm not giving the right importance which he's supposed to receive, then whatever he's telling, his realizations will not touch my heart. This is so practical actually. This is actually really showing the presence of the Lord there and then and there itself. There's the presence of the Lord. That means if I begin taking that person as light at that particular moment, it's very sincere sadhaka. He's given up his life in the mission. When he's speaking, I'm just loose, just loose, not giving. I'm hearing the truth, but I'm not giving importance to him. I'm not respecting him in my heart. No, whatever he's telling, that will not touch anything. It will just go through the ears. It will come like this, it will go out. Go out from the other ear. I was thinking about that. Is this process so practical? This is the reason why Acharyas tell they should give importance. On to blasting the devotees dedicated their lives to Prabhupada. You are not blasting, but you are not giving respect to them in your heart. That is also one way of blasting. That means when we do that, we don't get the taste to the holy names. Wow. That means we are away from them. We are off track. Wow. And that means to become off track, it's so easy. But to remain in that track, on track, we should cultivate some qualities. That means consciously we should do something. That means you should develop devotion, love to those persons. We should respect them in our heart. That offering of obeisances, that is for our benefit. Giving respect to them is our benefit. We gain through that. And if we don't give respect to gain something for us, one should give that naturally. Oh, because, yes, I should give respect to him. Otherwise, this truth will not go in my heart. If this truth will not go into my heart, I will not come back to God. This is not the way. The respect should be natural. Genuinity, there is genuinity, should appreciate that. Very important. Great. That's how one will not go through the state of dilution, because connecting with the Guru Parampara, that is the only way. Great.
Thank you, Babuji. Thank you so very much. Yeah, the only way to be consistent in Krishna consciousness is, at least to start with, Krishna consciousness itself is to please the pleasure, to please the acharyas, the spiritual master. The meaning of it itself is it, and we see beautiful examples, and eventually we'll get to know the consistency. This is the reason for the consistency as well.
Consistency will come when we stay in that association. Definitely. For sure. If you are rightly taking that association, you will get consistency. Very important.
And we can do it heartfully for the pleasure of the spiritual master only when we have relationship, when we feel the relationship. for that
Otherwise,
relationship against Ravana. It's like a loop, right, Prabhu? So we have to observe our heart, as you mentioned, started the class. Prabhu was asking, how is your heart? How's your heart? If we really check our heart at that moment, we will honestly say. Otherwise, if we don't have relationship, then whimsically we will say like, okay, all good or all bad, whatever it is. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so very much for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Amma Bhaswati Amma, please stop.
Do you have few minutes, Prabhu? Chitta?
Yes, Amma.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice, Prabhuji. You just explained about this surrender, and I was thinking, Prabhuji, about when you said the. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Amma.
Okay. So when you said, Prabhuji, that about the surrender process, so I was thinking like when you mentioned about Shakuni, the relationship between Shakuni and Duryodhan. So the thing is like Duryodhan wants exactly he wants to what he wants to hear, he is getting from Shakuni. So Shakuni is his guru. He is in the path of adharma, but still Shakuni is his guru because whatever he wants to hear, that pleases his ears and pleases his heart.
It is
Shakuni was
pleasing
telling
him.
the same thing, like same
Exactly.
similar kind of personality and association. So for me, I was thinking like Prabhuji, it's very important for a person who is practicing Krishna consciousness to listen and to be ready to chastise by the Guru. When I'm not ready to accept what I'm doing and I'm thinking whatever I'm doing, I know. So that is very important to accept that, and that's the relationship what you mentioned and the surrendering process, the degree of surrendering and the degree of the building relationship is very important, so that I'm that time I'll be able to accept what my guru is to instruct, not thinking like as you discussed with Mataji about that one, like you cannot do by your on your own, whatever they are saying you have to do. So I have to ready for that also, to be chastised, because I'm very new to this path of Krishna consciousness, though I have a background from my childhood. But when I'm hearing all those Prabhupada's lecture, all the your classes and stuff, like think I don't know anything. I'm just a nut. I have nothing. So that's what Prabhuji. That's my realization, is that always be submissive to get any kind of instructions from the guru who are teaching me.
Actually, it is very important what you just mentioned. Duryodhana wants to hear that. That's why he's taking that association. This is what generally happens. So you see, you tell me your association, I'll tell you how deep you are in Krishna consciousness. So that is the best way to actually really understand. Just like you tell me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Likewise, what kind of association you are taking, based on that only our progress is. So if you are taking association with चलेगा सब कुछ चलेगा करो सीखे मजामा करो करो अंतकाले है ना, at the time of death na, you should remember the Lord. Now you can enjoy. At the time of death you can remember. You just chant Hare Krishna at the time of death. So that will not work actually. If that will work, then that would have been written in the scripture. Srila Prabhupada would have told, that's okay, don't worry, relax, just chill. We have never seen Srila Prabhupada writing like that. That means what is this? This is all mind telling. That means whoever tells that mind, they will have, that will be their friends. They will be their friend. Or this Prabhu is telling, you surrender bhi zarurat nahi hai. You don't have to surrender. You keep everything whatever you have. You do everything what you are supposed to do. Majama karo, bhakti bhi karo. Then that if that somebody is telling, then they will take that association. But if a person is telling, no, you should surrender, you should submit, you should aspire, To really take this Krishna consciousness to the deep of the heart, should simply please the acharyas, then that is difficult. Because that is connecting, what is it? Is connecting the attachments. Asking me to get loose from the attachment? Oh, that is impossible. Can't do that. That is not right. That means whatever is congenial to me, I should hear that. No, no, no. That means we are bringing Krishna to our plane. This is exactly that. It means Salaka is bringing Krishna to his plane. Krishna will come, no doubt. But the progress to the sadhaka in that state will be hampered. It will be hampered. That means in the heart there will not be any satisfaction. He'll do everything ritually. Then the deities will become burden. रोज करना है क्या deities को? This is what Prabhupada told actually. One time, one of his disciples in Vrindavan, when Prabhupada was giving the class, or he didn't come to the class. And then Prabhupada he called him. Please call Pujari. Want to see him? And the Prabhupada would call the Pujari. What happens at that time is Prabhupada would call the Pujari and then he said, what do you do? Prabhupada, I take care of the deities. Very nice, very nice. Oh, you're not hearing these days? Been observing? You're not coming to the classes? Yes, Swamiji, I'm very busy doing the services. You know what? You know what happens? What will happen? I will leave after a few years. You will also leave after a few years. Because you will feel my spiritual master is a fool. He gave me this big burden on me. He gave me these deities. I have to take care of these deities. I cannot do this. And then you'll chastise me and then you'll go. Because you're not hearing. Because you're not getting any realizations. If you're not hearing, you'll not get any realizations. Because you'll not go deep. You'll not understand the science. If the realizations are not there, you'll quit this process. That's why witness should be there. Witness will come through reflections. As you are mentioning, that is a good reflection. When we stick on to that, that reflection will intensify. Please ensure that reflections are intensified. When those things have been taken, what you suggested is a very beautiful state, the state of humility. But I don't know anything. That is good state. We should always be in that state. Otherwise, this material nature will hit us on the face left and right. Even today, whatever you said, I will feel that today also. I don't know anything. Really, I'm telling, I don't know anything. To be honest, these words are coming. By the mercy, by the blessing of the spiritual master, these words are coming. I don't know anything actually. But when we actually have this state of consciousness, what happens is this is when we can actually relish the process. That means the Shastra is there, a Guru is there, their teachings are there, their love is there, their affection is there, everything is there. Through all of this, what is happening is conviction is manifesting from there. And that conviction comes through reflections. And Prabhupada immediately said, you will leave this process. Take my words, you'll leave this process if you don't hear from me. This is what happened when Srila Prabhupada came to the moment. Some people started telling, oh Swamiji, you're telling the philosophy, you're telling us to give up this sense gratification, but if I go there, they'll tell Raslila. A lot of people went like that. They went to other gurus, not hearing from Srila Prabhupada. And then they left the moment. They're not even taking there. And then they left Srila Prabhupada. Because they felt, oh, Swamiji is teaching big philosophy. He's speaking only philosophy. He's not telling Ras Leela or that Leela, this Leela. They left Srila Prabhupada. That means they didn't feel the relationship. Now, how do we feel the relationship? We feel the relationship when we really hear truth correctly, exactly. Then we give importance to that person. We respect them. Then we can understand. Otherwise, we cannot understand. Otherwise, we cannot know. Very, very important. Hare Krishna. Thank you. I think I'll stop. It's too late. Thank you all very much. If I caused any inconvenience through my words, please excuse me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, all devotees.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Sivilas Prabhu, would you be able
Yes,
to
yes,
name your
Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashtottara Shatabe Charanaravindis His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON DPP Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashtottara Shata His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनेक कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna.
Mahavishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Sudhamini Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, have an amazing Krishna conscious Sunday. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, all devotees.
Devotees ki jai.